We're getting there. My name is Jen Rower. I'm the cantor here, and I'm thrilled to be able to celebrate with Clint and their family as we begin our Shabbat service this morning. I want to welcome everybody who is here with us in the sanctuary in person, and also want to give a special welcome to those who are joining from the live stream, some of whom we really wish and really thought they were going to be here, but illness and COVID, unfortunately, these days get in the way. So we want to give a special welcome shout out to Patsy and Blas Martinez, Amy, Dan, Calvin and Zoe Kirsch, Gina and Bill Stinson, Diana and Michael Delaval, and Victor Villardo. We wish you were here with us, but we're happy to have you with us virtually. Our opening song this morning is going to be Hine Matov. You can find it in your prayer book on page 128. Page 128. And if you were here last night, you probably know this song already. If you weren't here last night, I just have a couple little tips for you. Okay, one is, once your prayer book is open, that you're going to need to clap your hands. So we're going to practice. Okay, so we're going to clap. 1, 2, your turn. Oh, you're good clappers. That's good to know. And the other thing is, there's a part of the song where you're going to repeat after me. You're going to repeat after me too, right, Clint? So if I say, how good it is, you say, I think you're ready. Hine Matov, how wonderful it is to be together. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Let's try that again. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine Matov, umanayim sheverachim gam yachad. Sheverachim gam yachad. Sheverachim gam yachad. Once again, good morning now that you're awake. Becoming a B'nai Mitzvah is about growing to an age when you can take on the adult responsibilities, or the mitzvot, or the commandments of Judaism. Clint is here this morning to take on those responsibilities willingly in the midst of this holy community, this community of all of you here to love and support them. The talit is a symbol of this commandment to walk in the path of the Jewish faith, and I'd like to invite Clint's grandma Budgie, Margaret Cohen, to present them with their talit.
This talit represents a history of tradition that goes all the way back to our ancestors in the Sinai desert. As you wear this talit, you are being wrapped in that tradition. I pray that this Jewish tradition always brings you nourishment and light. This talit also represents the embrace of your family. I watch you now with awe and pride as you enter young adulthood. I pray that as you wear this talit, you will always remember the love of your family. The fringes on this talit represent the commandments of God to live in holiness. I pray that as you look upon these fringes, you always remember to walk in the ways of holiness, truth, and righteousness, and that God's love and blessing accompany you your whole life.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hitatef b'tzitzit. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us in mitzvot, commanding us to wrap ourselves in the fringes.
Clint will now lead us in the morning service, but your role here as the congregation is also very important because without you, Clint would not have a community to lead. So I invite you to follow along in your prayer book and join us in praying and singing. It really doesn't matter if you know the words. La 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 is always good, or humming, or clapping your hands if the Spirit moves you will also work. We will now continue on page 636 with Yedid Nefesh.
We turn to page 192 for the Ma Tovu. באמתי שלך, הנני באמתי שלך. The Hatzi Kaddish is found on page 224. Yitzkadav Yikadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'alma Divara Hirutei Ve'lamlich Malhutei Ve'hayehon Uvyomehon Uvhayetecho Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman Karim Ve'imaru Amen Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevorah Le'alam Halom Me'omaya Yitzbarach Yitzbarach V'yithadash Yitpa'ar V'yitronam V'yinaseh V'yithadar V'yithaleh V'yithalol Shemei T'kudshah Rihu Le'emin Linkol Birhata V'shirata Tushbechata B'nech Lamata Ta'amira Be'alma Imru Amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship on page 226.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue on page 228. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, yotzer or uvarei hoshech. Aseh shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'la'darim. Alo mechadesh b'chol yom, Tamid Ma'aseh Bereshit. Ma Rabu Ma'asecha Adonai. Kulam Bechochma Asita. Malach Haaretz Kinyanecha. Tiparach Adonai Eloheinu. Al Shevach Ma'aseh Yadecha. Ve'ol Me'orei Or She'asita Yefe'arucha Selah, or Chadash al Tzion Ta'ir, B'nizkeh kulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMe'orot. Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the Praised are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy, you illuminate the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness, you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai. In wisdoms you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai our God, for the excellent work of your hands. And for the lights you created, may they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we may swiftly merit in its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Page 230. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu. Hemla Gedola Vitera Hamalta Aleinu. Ba'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu. Shibarchu B'chu Vatlamdim, Ukei Hayim, Kain Tichaninu Utlamdenu. Page 231. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explodes and confirms who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming. Please rise for the Shema on page 232. Chatzi Kaddish is found on page, yep. Please be seated. We continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 234. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol ma'odeha v'hayu Advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha al yom al levavecha v'shimnantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'vetecha u'leftecha v'aderech u'v'shovpecha u'v'kumecha Ukshatan leot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot beinenecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'isharecha leman tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Eloheichem ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lehiot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. We read together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you on this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away. When you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. We continue on page 239. We read responsively. The eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor? Asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High.
Blessed is God and deserving of blessing. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, חדשה שבחוגי עולים לשמחה על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits and God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer will not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Please rise for the tefillah on page 242. Adonai sefetek titach ufi agi tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotinu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avovim Ahod U'Mimi V'Ila Lifnei V'Neihem Le'man Shemo ve'Achava Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Negoin Abraham ve'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai Mehayeh hakol atarav lehoshia Mehakel hayim bechesed Mehayeh hakol berahamin rabim Somech noflim ve'rofei holim Umatir asurim Umehayeh emunato lishenei afar Mi kamocha ba'al gevurot umidom elah Melech mimit umehayeh umatzmiach Yeshua B'ne'eman atalecha hayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mehayeh hakol
לקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, הכתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא אבינו ומלכנו ומושיענו והוא ישמיענו Elohayich Zion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid Godlecha, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
To all generations we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Please be seated. We continue on page 250. We read together on page 256. We read together on 253. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness which inspires us sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in the darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks for this blessing, O God.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael U'tefilatam be'ahava Tekabel
We read together on page 256. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end, O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. We continue on page 258. We read together on 259. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of our world. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses our people with peace.
At this point in our Shabbat service, we pause to say the Mishaberach for healing, our prayer for healing for any that are in need of healing of mind, body, or spirit. This morning, we're especially mindful of those who are close to Clint's family, Blas Martinez and Victor Velardo. And I'd also like to invite you to add any names that are in your heart of your loved ones who are in need of healing. If you'd like to do so, I'd invite you to say them out loud. We join together in the Mishaberach on page 371. מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi shebera imotenu, mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We pause now for a moment of silent prayer. Our Torah service continues on page 362.
At this time in our service, I would like to invite up to join us on the bima to open the ark Annie Villardo, Jane Rosenman, and Ivan Weissman. To undress the Torah, Nancy Leff and Casey Lerner, and for the passing of the Torah from generation to generation, Lador Vador, Margaret Cohen, Ian Cohen, Cindy Cohen, Risa Cohen, and Ed Lingan.
In kamaha ba'Elohim Adonai, ben kama'asecha malhutecha malhut lekol olamim umemsholtecha v'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitain. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Please rise.
This Torah is the heritage of the Jewish people. Our tradition tells us that Moses received the law at Sinai, handed it on to Joshua, then Joshua to the next generation, until now it comes to us through all the ages of Jewish history as our greatest treasure.
The scroll handed to you through the generations of our family is especially significant. It comes to us from a community in Europe called Austerlitz. That community, destroyed by the Nazis, exists no more. But today we honor them, their dreams, their visions, and their aspirations by embracing this sacred scroll.
You will read from a different Torah, one written by members of our congregation. This Torah represents our commitment to a strong Jewish future. By reading from it today, you become a critical link in perpetuating our beautiful Jewish heritage.
And so now do we proudly pass on this Torah to you, Clint, whom we present today to become a B'nai Mitzvah, a member of the Holy Congregation of Israel.
May you guard and cherish it, take its teachings to heart, preserve it, and make its words a part of your life. Then hand it on to yet another generation so that it may never cease its honored course, sustaining and guiding each new generation of our people. Thus do we now proudly forge yet another link in the chain of our holy and ancient tradition.
Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion teitzei Torah, u'devar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael v'kedushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Lecha Adonai hagedula, hagedura, hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod. Kicho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, kicho b'shamayim u'va'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, kaminazeh lechol erosh. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Please be seated. The Torah portion Clint is going to share with us today is Parashat Etchanan. It comes from the book of Deuteronomy, and we are going to tell you a little bit more about it later. You can follow along in Hebrew and with the English translation in the handout you received when you came into the service this morning. For the first Aliyah this morning, I would like to invite forward to bless the Torah Ian and Cindy Cohen, Jack and Marcia Cohen, Richard Cohen, Jane and Jed Siegel, John and Jennifer Cohen, and William Cohen. Ya'amdu Rishon. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Anochi Adonai Elohecha Asher Hatzeticha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Mibeit Avadim Lo Yechia Lecha Elohim Ahirim Al Panai Lo Ta'aseh Lecha Besel Kol Timunah Asher Bashamayim Mimal Ba'asher Ba'aretz mitachat Ba'asher B'mayim mitachat la'aretz Lo tishtachaveh lachem V'lo tovdeim Ki Anochi Adonai Elohecha El Kanav Roked Avon Avot Abanim Ve'al Shirishim Ve'al Rive'im L'son I Ve'oseh Chesed La'alafim Ve'ohavai U'shomrei Mitzvotai Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'torkeinu. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Thank you.
Good job. Great job. Wonderful. It's really
For the second Aliyah, we invite forward to bless the Torah Clint's grandma, Margaret Cohen. Tamot Sheni.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bracha banu michol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo yinakeh Adonai et asher yisa et shemor lashav Shamor et yom Hashabbat lekadsho Ka'asher tzivacha Adonai Elohecha Shesha yamim ta'avod Ve'asita kol malachtecha V'yom hashvi'i Tashvat L'Adonai Elohecha Lo ta'aseh kol malacha Ata uvincha uviteha va'amatecha ve'asirha v'chamoraha v'hovahamteha v'girha asher b'sha'arecha laman yanuach avdecha va'amatecha kamocha v'zakarta ki eved hayita V'eretz Mitzrayim, V'eretz Mitzrayim, Vayotzi'acha Adonai Elohecha misham b'shad hazaka al k'zoah u'vizro anetuyam al kain tzivacha Adonai Elohecha la'asot et yom HaShabbat.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torot amet v'hayelanu netar b'torkeinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
You are crushing us.
I need that paper. Well, my family knows it, I think. All right. For the next aliyah, I'd like to invite forward to bless the Torah Risa and Ed and Jude. Yamdu Shlishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha kasher tzivacha Adonai Elohecha lama'an yarihun yamecha ulama'an yitavla al hadama asher Adonai Elohecha noten la Lo tirsa, lo tin'a, lo tinno, lo ta'ana re'acha, eid shav, lo tachmod, eshet re'acha, lo titaveh, beit re'acha, sadechu, ve'avdo, v'amato, shomro v'achmoro, V'chol asher l'reacha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Aliyah this morning, we invite to bless the Torah officially for the first time as a B'nai Mitzvah, Clint, Cohen, Lingan. Yamdu, 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 ha-B'nai Mitzvah, David mi Beit Shoshana ve'ed la'aliyah ha'acharona, chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek.
Baruch hu Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu Torah ha'amim v'natan lanu Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu ha'devarim ha'ela, asher anochi mitzavecha, al yom al levavecha. V'shimnatam levanecha, v'dibarta ba'am, v'shivtecha v'veitecha, u'v'lavtecha v'aderech, u'v'shovpecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam le'od al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'isharecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ha'olam banu natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natan b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. So in Jewish tradition, when somebody does a really good job at something, we have some special words that we say. We say Yasher Koach. So I want you all to give that a try. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yasher Koach, which means great job, Clint.
Yep.
Clint and I are now going to lift the Torah so all of you can see it. Will you please rise? Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. To share with us the Haftarah portion for this morning. You may be seated. Today's Haftarah portion comes from the book of Isaiah. Once again, you can follow along on your handout. And they're going to begin with the blessing before Haftarah, which you can find in your prayer book on page 372.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem hane'emarim ba'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habacher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Nachamu, nachamu, ami yomar Elohechem dabru alev Yerushalayim v'kiru eleha ki mala'at tziva'ah ki nirsa avonai ki lakcha miyad Adonai kiflayim b'hol hatoteha kol kore b'midbar panu derech Adonai yashru ba'arava misilah levik'ah kol gei yinaseh v'chohar v'giva v'chohar v'giva yishpalu v'haya hazakah l'meishor v'har hasim levik'ah v'nigla kevod Adonai v'ra'u kol hahar yachdav ki pi Adonai diber. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol ha'olamim tzedik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer u'mechayeh hamdaber hamdaber u'mekayeh shechol devarach emet v'tzedek al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatatan lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdushav linucha likavod u'letifara al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim la umbarchim ota litbarach simha b'fiko hai tamid le'olam ba'ed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
At this time in our service, we're going to return the Torah to the ark. And to open the ark, I'd like to invite Forward, Samara Leff-Lerner, Max Leff-Lerner, and Faye Berenbaum. Will you please rise?
God's Torah is perfect, reviving the soul. God's teaching is sure, making wise the simple. God's precepts are right, delighting the mind. God's mitzvot are clear, giving light to the eyes. God's word is pure, enduring forever. God's judgments are true and altogether just. Eitz Chaim hi, lama chazikim ba, v'tomecha meushar deracha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom Hashiveinu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadish yameinu Chadish yameinu kekedem.
You may be seated. A new rabbi, or perhaps I should say a new cantor, comes to a well-established congregation. She is surprised and baffled to find that every week on Shabbat, a fight erupts during the service. When it comes time to recite the Shema, "Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one," half of the congregation stands and the other half sits. The half who stand say, "Of course we stand for the Shema. It's the credo of Judaism. Throughout history, thousands of Jews have died with the words of the Shema on their lips." The half who remain seated say, "No, according to the Shulchan Aruch, the Code of Jewish Law, if you are seated when you come to the Shema, you remain seated." The people who are standing yell at the people who are sitting, "Stand up!" While the people who are sitting yell at the people who are standing, "Sit down!" It's destroying the whole decorum of the service, and it is driving the new cantor or rabbi crazy. Finally, it's brought to the rabbi's attention that at a nearby home for the aged is a 98-year-old man who was a founding member of the congregation. So, in accordance with Talmudic tradition, the rabbi appoints a delegation of 3, one who stands for the Shema, one who sits, and the rabbi herself to go interview the man. They enter his room, and the man who stands for the Shema rushes over to the old man and says, "Wasn't it the tradition in our synagogue to stand for the Shema?" "No," the old man answers in a weak voice. "That wasn't the tradition." The other person jumps in excitedly. "Wasn't it the tradition in our synagogue to sit for the Shema?" "No," the old man says. "That wasn't the tradition." At this point, the rabbi cannot control herself. She cuts in angrily. "I don't care what the tradition was. Just tell them one or the other. Do you know what goes on in services every week? The people who are standing yell at the people who are sitting. The people who are sitting yell at the people who are standing. That was the tradition." The book of Deuteronomy, which is the book of the Torah that Clint's Torah portion comes from, is an unusual book. Rather than telling the story of the Jewish people, it is a retelling of events that happened previously in the Torah. If we look at the Latin origin of the name Deuteronomy, we find deutero, which means second, and nomi, which means telling, a clear indication that this book is a retelling of previous events. The Israelites are camped at Moab, outside the Promised Land, and Moses gives a series of speeches to them to ensure they have all the information they need to move forward as a people into the Promised Land. The fact that Moses is holding forth in front of the people, giving speech after speech, is also remarkable. Looking back to the book of Exodus, when God was electing Moses for his leadership role, Moses pleaded that he wasn't fit for the task, not being an ish devarim, a man of words. In fact, the name of the book of Deuteronomy in Hebrew is devarim, meaning words. After 40 years in the desert leading the people, Moses has become an ish devarim, a man of words, and has grown into his leadership role, preaching and leading and inspiring the next generation of Israelites. For those who were here last night, or others of you that may be following the Jewish calendar, you already know that Clint's Torah portion, Parashat Va'et-Chanan, which contains the Shema, is not, in fact, today's Torah portion. It was the Torah portion for Clint's original B'nai Mitzvah date last July. As we have all been on this pandemic journey, rescheduling and then rescheduling the date of this Simcha and riding the waves of variant after variant, it may feel like this journey has been about 40 years long. But today, Clint stands at the threshold of a new land and has some words of wisdom to share about the journey. In the end, it doesn't matter if we say the Shema standing up or sitting down, or swaying back and forth, or looking at the words, or with our eyes closed. What matters is that we look for meaning along the journey of our Jewish path. And you will find that Clint has done just that. Clint.
My Torah portion is Parshat Va'et-Hanan, which comes from the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy. And Moses was giving speeches to everyone before they went to the Promised Land because he was about to die and he wants them to remember him. He is warning them not to fall into idolatry, which means to worship idols instead of God. And to observe all the commandments that God gave them. Something interesting that happened in my Torah portion is that Moses remembers an experience when he was atop Mount Horeb and they heard God tell him the 10 Commandments. God's presence was so strong that the people were too scared to get them and asked Moses to go get them himself. He also remembered setting 3 towns aside for people who accidentally killed a human being to keep them safe. This part of my portion is very interesting to me because I thought there would be consequences even if it was an accident. My Haftarah portion is from the book of Isaiah and is about God comforting the people of Israel. The parts I chose to chant from the portion are the Shema, Ve'ahavta, and 10 Commandments. I chose these parts because they are very important to me. They are all about necessary rules in Judaism. The Shema is the most important prayer, in my opinion, and many others, because it was created for God. It means, "Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, and Adonai is one." After that comes the Baruch Shem. It is tradition that people chant the Baruch Shem quieter than the Shema. The Baruch Shem was something Moses heard the angels sing, and he decided to steal it because he had to whisper it, but he had to whisper it to respect the angels. Another story is that Jacob's son chanted the Shema, and then his father whispered the Baruch Shem because he was dying. The Ve'ahavta is very important because it's about love, and love is my favorite emotion because it's complete joy. It's about loving God, and it is about binding a sign upon your hand, which means wrapping tefillin, which is a practice done by many Jews where you wrap like little rectangular boxes around your arm and forehead. The Ve'ahavta also describes the practice of hanging a mezuzah, which is a box with a scroll inside of it, which, like tefillin, contains the Shema and Ve'ahavta inside of it, and it's nailed to your doorway. The purpose of these is to bless you and remind you to love God. I picked the 10 Commandments because it's very important to live by the rules. Even though some of them are outdated, some of them are very important, like respect your mother and father, do not murder, and do not steal. The most important commandment to me, though, is thou shalt honor your mother and father. This is because I love my parents very much, and I always try my best to honor them, even when it's hard. Sometimes I make mistakes or get angry, but everyone does that sometimes, so that's okay. An example of how powerful love is. One time my mom was in a car crash. I was sad and I didn't know what to do. I kept trying to get her better. I had to help her and feed her, and life was tough for the both of us. She always needed medicine to cure her pain, so it was basically being her nurse. But I kept on loving her no matter how hurt she was. Multiple months passed and she could barely move. I was starting to give up hope, but a few months later, she could move a lot more again. And I realized that love is a powerful source, and I had used it to heal her. Another story. Believe it or not, I used to be sad. Over quarantine, I couldn't meet with people, and I got diagnosed with depression in late September of 2020. It was because I couldn't see my friends. This went on for several months until I got suicidal. I started to speak less and even made attempts. When there was just a sliver of hope left, my school opened up. As soon as I got into the building, I built up the confidence to say hi to someone. They are now one of my best friends there. I'm feeling much better and could socialize very well now, though. So, yeah. The reason those stories are very important to me is because they are all about my love for God, myself, and my family. Now I'm going to talk about the weird commandments. So there's some behavior that's just common sense. For example, don't steal or commit adultery. Also, thou shalt not covet your neighbor's donkey or ox or cattle is outdated. Yep, I'm giving you the clean version. I don't think I or anyone will be coveting animals anytime soon, but we do love our pets. My B'nai Mitzvah project is to collect donations for Paws and Whiskers, which is a kill-free cat shelter where you can adopt from, or still donate if you want. The cats there are very sweet and would love for you to adopt them, and even if you can't adopt them, you can still donate items or money or for the shelter. I would like to thank all my friends, my family, Margaret Cohen, Risa Cohen, Ed Lingan, Jude Lingan, Annie Villardo, Ian Cohen, Temple educator Wendy Payne, and all my teachers throughout the years, and especially Cantor Jen Rower for helping me on my journey to this day in my life. Shabbat Shalom.
I'd like to invite Risa and Ed forward, who have some very special words of blessing for Clint.
So Clint, I'm so proud of you today. You've done such an amazing job, and you've worked so hard over the really past couple of years. One of the things that I've noticed about you, not just while you worked on this, but through your life, is the teachings from the Torah and the philosophies from the Torah and the values of the Torah that I see most manifested in you are courage. You are, I think, maybe the most courageous person I've ever met. And at the same time, you have incredible love and care, not only for other human beings, but for animals and really the world around you. And I think in those two ways, you embody so much of what's taught in the Torah. And I know that is what's going to make you keep growing. And one other aspect of you is your fascination with the unusual and things that stand out as different. And that as well is something that I think reveals the holiness within you to everyone around you. I love you.
You did such a great job, and I'm so proud of you in this one. I'm so proud of you. I can't even believe how proud I am of you. And everyone here is so proud of you and just impressed with how poised you are and how talented you are, and that you could be anything you want to. We are impressed with your words and your deeds. You are a person of words. And you know I think words are important. Yeah. I teach literacy.
Yeah.
But import and tone and deeds are even more important. That's why we say actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
I know you're good with words.
Yeah.
That's why I'll often say to you, Clint, I need your brain. And you'll say, are you stuck on Wordle again? And then in 2 seconds, you'll get it. The 2 times I've lost, it was partly because I didn't have your help. And I remember when you were little, I don't remember how old, there was a word march, and you chose the word Floxenoxeni, hill of
Floxenoxeni, hill of hillification.
Yeah. You've always had a fascination with words. And I also love seeing your goodness manifested in your actions, like this. You're always reaching out and comforting everyone around you, and you've always been like that. You're constantly cooking and helping the family, and even when you were a little kid, you were constantly sharing food with everyone. I mean, anyone who knew him as a little baby remembers he would take a bite and then share with everyone around them. You've always been a champion of inclusion. On your first day of first grade, there was one child who was having a very hard time separating from his mom, and he was crying, and his mom didn't know what to do. She had to leave the room. And you went over to the two of them, this little 6-year-old, you went over and put your one hand on the boy and one hand on the mom and just hugged them and just made it better. And he became one of your best friends.
Yeah.
And like you said, you were nursing me when I was sick and healed me. And you also give really good back rubs and foot rubs. When you got this Torah portion, you told me you were excited about being able to read the Shema and the V'ahavta and the Ten Commandments from the Torah. You were very excited about the words that you would get to say. And they are important words, and they're about deeds, what we should and should not do. A lot of the low, what we should and should not do. And today, more than ever, I am just so incredibly proud of you, who you are, what you say, and what you do. I love you.
I love you too.
Please rise as we ask for God's blessing on Clint at this very special moment. Clint, this is an incredibly special day and an incredibly special moment. One that, for so many reasons, we didn't know if it was going to ever come. And I think it's fair to say that it's pretty much a miracle that we are standing here today and celebrating you as you have stepped through the doorway of your adult Jewish life. It's been incredible watching you on the bima this morning. There were a lot more hugs thrown into the service than we planned, and that's a beautiful thing. And I want you, at this moment, to just take a minute and take into your heart all the love that's coming at you right now from all the people that are behind you and this person that's in front of you and your parents at your sides. Because it's love that you deserve. It's love that can lift you up and help you move forward on your new path in life. It's my honor and my blessing to be able to use these ancient words from Torah to bless you this morning on this very holy occasion. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yaseim lecha shalom. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
I'm going to invite everybody to stay standing. We continue with the Aleinu on the bottom of page 586. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula liyotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim umishachavim umodim lifnei melech machei
שנאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We continue on the bottom of page 595. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. Our thoughts turn now to those who came before us, who lit the way for our lives. We think especially of those so important to the Cohen Lingan family that we remember today: Annette Weissman, Jacob Weissman, David Cohen, Sylvia Cohen, Jill Cohen, and Ruth Cohen. We also think of those in our congregational community who we've lost in recent days or weeks, for whom the period of Shiva or Shloshim is being observed: Louis Dara and Alan Kaminsky. And we remember those whose yard sites the anniversary of death falls on this Shabbat: Dr. Edward Binzer, Daniel Britz, Ben Cannon, Alice Davis, Roy C. Davis, Sarah Bell Davis, Roxine Fain, Paula Phlox, June Gertz, Elsie F. Goldman, Irving E. Goldman, Sam L. Goodman, Sophia H. Lempert, Ann Levine, Philip Levy, Fanny Bass-Lebov, Louis E. Little, Harry Lowenthal, Jenny Snyder-Miller, Ruth Myers, Kurt Ross, Donald M. Russell, Ida Saycoles, Ethel N. Schwartz, Edward Sklar, Samuel Solomon, and Sherry Wilk. We rise now as one community, and we join together in the words of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divarach hirutei v'imlich malchutei, B'chai echon u'v'yom echon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei al-maya, Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemei dekudsha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, Uyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort to those who are bereaved, here and everywhere. As together we say, amen. You may be seated. Clint, we have some special gifts for you this morning. And first, representing our sisterhood, he's peeking for them, I'd like to invite up Erica Kerper. Do you want to give it to her to give to you?
Yeah, sure.
Mazel Tov, I am so proud of you. You have led the community of family and friends in the most beautiful service this morning. And not to mention your talents at the piano. That was incredible. I am so honored on behalf of the Temple Sisterhood to give you this. give you a hug. Congratulations. Thank you.
And Clint, we were hoping Wendy was going to be with us today to give you these other gifts, but as you know, she wasn't able to be here today, so I'm standing in for her. From your temple community. No, first, from the entire Jewish community of Toledo.
Yeah.
We have this gift, the Jewish Book of Why. So this is given by two very generous families in our community to every B'nai Mitzvah student. So if you ever have any question about Judaism, you just look in this book.
Because it'll have like index and stuff.
I bet it does have an index. Yeah. And from our temple community, we have, first of all, this certificate of B'nai Mitzvah. That means if you ever are in doubt that this actually happened, you can see that indeed it did. Secondly, we have an invisible gift that actually didn't arrive for you in time, but we'll get it to you, which is your very own prayer book, your very own Mishkan Tefillah, which is going to be engraved with your name on it. So we hope that that's a meaningful gift as you continue your spiritual path. I would like to invite Risa and Ed and Jude back to the Bima for Kiddush and Motzi. We'll join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. And let's join together in the Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Our closing song this morning is Ein Keloheinu on page 626. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadoneinu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, no del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
May the God of our people, the God of the universe, bless you. May the one who has always been our guide inspire you to bring honor to our family and to our people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam shehachianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Praise you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this day of joy. Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov!